What's up, y'all? Welcome back to... Are we on 9? Is this episode 9? Episode 9 of Contemplations with Austin West. I'm going to adjust my camera here a little bit. Woo! I'm figuring this tech thing out. Riverside, YouTube, getting responses and tips from people. I got a logo coming. Got my designer working on a logo and getting the what's it called? Thumbnail going. So it's like we dialing this thing in. I can't wait to see where we are at, because this is a community-based podcast at the end of these 40 days. And let's just get right into it. I'm going to type in an at random here and have my AI spit one out. Boom. Shout out Vivian Lusada. What's up, Viv? This one is submitted by Vivian. Time as nonlinear, healing the past and the present. Whoa. This is what I knew would be challenging about doing the podcast this way. And also what would be exciting is putting myself on the spot to contemplate these things out loud. Just bear with me as I buy time to collect my thoughts. Part of why I wanted to do it this way is I've been openly talking about my struggles with social media lately, about this inauthenticity and so much, this rage baiting with the captions or the introduction, like tagging on people's emotions of anger or grief or shame or judgment to suck them in and then feeding them a positive message. It's like there's so much inauthenticity in that, and then the inauthenticity in like scripting. And I don't know how many times I tell people in my life, like, fuck the script, bro. Joey, shout out Joey Barone. Many of you know him. He was going into this interview process a few months back, and he reached out and he's like, hey, what do you think about this and this? And I was thinking about that for the script. I'm like, bro, fuck the script. Like, show up and be you. And I just noticed that how often when I think too much, when I lean on the script, when I plan what I'm going to say, I'm so in my mind on that plan, I'm not actually in my channel, which is the divine wanting to move through me, which is our truth. Authenticity is truth. And so I wanted to do it this way, to purposely put myself in positions where I had to think on the fly and speak to what it is. So yeah, I'm rolling out this. I'll make a post on it soon. I think I did yesterday's podcast. These are all blending together. Thank you, everybody who's hanging in, watching these. Your reflections and feedback and your likes and your comment, they mean so much. Keep it coming, please, because this is not only how we spread the message, but it fills me up. Anyway, this like anti-viral social media strategy, where it's like, attract only the people meant to be there by being the most authentic and truthful version of yourself, by not preying on low vibrational emotions that like to create more of themselves. So, with that being said, time as non-linear, healing the past and the present. First, let's go into my perspective of what time is. Not a lot of people are talking about this because, as you know, or you are learning to find out, I look at everything through the lens of spirituality. I believe that everything that we're experiencing that exists in the physical realms are a manifestation of spirit, meaning my own reality itself. Everything that I see in my own perspective of life, what happens to me, what's happening for me, is a reflection of my relationship to spirit, to God, to universe, to cosmos, to spirituality. And let me just double click on spirituality. I believe that spirituality is not a belief system. It is a practice of connecting to the divine, which means spirituality gets to mean whatever it means to you. No one gets to tell you how to practice spirituality. No one gets to dictate what your belief systems are, what your relationship to God is. I did a post on this on prayer yesterday. Growing up in the church and then leaving the church, realizing that they had captured, I gave them the opportunity to capture the words of prayer and God. And I'm in this reclamation over this last year or two of what those relationships to those things mean and are to me. Anyways, going back to time, one of my favorite Einstein quotes is, the past, present, and future are all but stubborn illusions, because they don't exist. Everything exists in the now. And I was listening to a Kyle Kingsbury podcast one day. I can't remember who his guest on was, but he was saying something like, the dinosaurs both never existed and they still exist. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And he's like, because the past isn't real, everything is just a reflection of what we keep alive in the present moment relative to the stories we tell about our past. The only place the dinosaurs ever existed are in the now, based on our memory of what we believed them to be. And so the only reason that we find dinosaur bones is because we're literally manifesting them into reality based on the stories that have been passed down. Something like that. But like, wild concept, right? Because the now is all that exists. It's all that it will ever exist. And I think the thing that makes being human so alluring is that I can tap into the future with my visionary state. I can remember my past in some wild, like, I believe water holds memory. And so if we're 70% water, it's like most of me is a present manifestation of memory, which is just mind-boggling. So let's get to my perspective of what time is. I teach these in my mind, body, soul framework. In this cohort that I take people through, I teach the mind and souls are the polarity of the experience of life. And based on one of the Hermetic principles, the principle of polarity, everything only exists because of polarity. And we can tie this into like Buddhist philosophy and principles and the Taoism and a lot of these, like everything is non-dual. Yes, I get it. We all emanate from the same source consciousness, what we call God. We're all fractals of the infinite. Got it. And we only experience this life because of dualism. So I understand where we come from, but everything is dualistic in nature. And so when I take that dualistic approach, that is polarity. That is what the principle of polarity is teaching me, is because two opposites exist, we experience anything at all. Because two opposites exist, do we experience anything at all? So in my perspective, and this is something that I teach of the mind and of the heart, so of the soul, which the heart represents the soul, because the soul is only found through the heart. So let's take the mind, for example. The mind is a prediction machine. It is using past-based experiences to inform future projections. The mind never lives in the present moment. The mind is not meant to live in the present moment. The mind will never be in the present moment. And this is why the practice of meditation is so important for the mind, is because it is the becoming the observer and the witness. It's creating enough separation from me and my experience of life to, is this a little, let's turn that down a little bit. I feel like I'm yelling in my own ears. Meditation is so powerful for understanding and working with the mind because it's creating separation in our experience to witness the present moment. Meditation is the practice of witnessing the present moment. The mind isn't in the present moment. The mind is here to witness the present moment. And there's these higher and lower expressions of the mind. When we are in the lower expression of the mind, I'm in the identifying mind, which means I'm identifying with my experience of life. And for a lot of us, we are identifying with some sort of future-based projection that creates fear, that's anxiety, or we are identifying with a past-based experience that we're having difficulty letting go of. For a lot of people, that's depression. And so it's recognizing the stories that the mind is telling. The mind it is meant to be a storyteller. It is meant to be a protection mechanism by telling stories to prevent us from reliving situations that were once traumatic. And so let's say we had a traumatic situation happen when we were a child. Your mind builds a story of protection around whatever that situation is. Now, anytime you're living life and you have an opportunity for the potentiality of that situation repeating, the mind goes into story mode to protect us from that situation happening. Because the mind is saying, if this repeats in this moment, then my future will look like blank. And these are the trauma loops people get stuck in. This is the beginning of parts work, which I'm sure I'll go to in another episode. We have Richard Schultz, Part X framework. Richard Schultz or Schwartz is internal family systems. And then you have Part X framework, which is Phil Stutz. And so this is the beginning and entry into parts work. I teach parts work much more simplified, which we'll get into in a later podcast. I'm sure somebody will eventually ask about it. Maybe it's even on the list already. But this is what the mind's capacity is. And it's the way that we get, so the lower mind is the identified mind. The way we get into the higher mind, it is the mind that is the observer of life. I witness all things. I don't identify as anything. And because I'm not identifying as anything, I'm witnessing everything as parts moving through me that are here to help me understand myself at a deeper level. And so when we're in that observer, I am no longer confined to the aspects of time that the mind creates. So all of that to say, I hope you're staying with me on there. That's one end of the polarity, is the mind never lives in the present moment. It's not meant to. It is here to observe the past and future relative to the stories it tells to bring a solidarity in the present moment. The soul, the heart, is the now. It is the beingness. It is the isness of everything that exists in the universe. That's what the heart is. That's what the soul is. Again, the soul is found through the heart. The soul has your blueprint, the path you're meant to walk in this life, everything you're meant to be, what your purpose, your meaning, your service is. That is all found through the heart. So on one end of the spectrum, we have the mind that never lives in the present moment, and we have the heart that only lives in the present moment. And in those polarities is what we call time. It's what we experience as time that is made manifest through the physical body, mind, body, soul. The body is the representation of our relationship to mind and heart, mind and soul. The body is the representation of our relationship to mother and father, which is mind and heart. Getting deeper, but if you've been in the cohort, I know you're with me. If you haven't been in the cohort, we go deep. Pretty mind-blowing stuff. Love to have you in the next one. So in that framework, that's what I believe time is. Time is the experience of the polarities we have between our mind and our soul. And I have this other teaching that I'm going to teach in our steward program inside of Entheos. It's called Premium. We're playing with changing the name to like stewardship, because those that donate monthly to the mission, like you're a steward of the mission. So working on that. That'll be announced soon. Where was I going? Oh, something else I teach is called psycho-spiritual constructivism. And it is a framework. If you want to boil this down into something you can watch in 15 minutes, I would watch any YouTube video on Plato's allegory of the cave. This is essentially psycho-spiritual constructivism. And it's not necessarily, it's part of it. But my perspective is that my fundamental reality, everything that is materially made manifest, my body, everything in my field, is the relationship of psyche and spirit. Psyche is the mind, spirit is the soul. And the relationship we have between those things then create the physical reality. So this is no different than the mind and soul teachings in my microdosing framework. The body represents the inner child. It's the thing birthed from mind and soul into everything made manifest. And so when Vivian, you ask, healing the past and present, it is healing the mind and the heart. It is recognizing the stories and the distortions that are playing out relative to the belief systems we hold that are trying to keep us safe. That is the past and the future. And the present moment is healing all things of the heart. Where are we living in service to self, which is the lower expression of the heart? Everything I do is for selfish nature. Where am I distorting love? Where am I looking at anybody in my life and not seeing them through an all compassionate, all empathetic view of love? And that anything that is not the expression of love. Sorry, I don't know if I have a mute button set up anywhere if you heard this sneeze. And being able to look out at anything happening in our life, anything that is not the expression of love is just the expression of pain. And if we are in a place where we don't receive anything being submitted to us in that way, then we are disconnected from our heart in some way. And so healing the past and the present, and the future, come down to healing our own relationship with our mind and their own relationship with our soul. Wow. I'm going to add this to the cohort teaching. Yeah, thanks, Vivian. And when, I've had the blessing of sitting with so many of these medicines over the years, and with different traditions and cultures, and what you hear often is this whole idea that when we do the personal inner work, when we do our shadow work, when we heal, when we look at our wounds and our traumas and the patterns, behaviors, everything that is passed down from our parents and our parents' parents, when we become generational cycle breakers inside of that, we are healing 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. And the reason for that is because time is nonlinear. All of it exists within the now. All of the past, all of my ancestors, their beliefs, their stories, their wounds, not only was that reflected in what my parents gave me, but that's literally held in the expression of my DNA. And so it's both work with the parents and it's internal work that has nothing to do with them. The paradox, right? It is yes and, it is everything and nothing, or it's yes, no, it's everything and nothing. And so this is why all of the work has to do with us, the self. I've seen it in my own family. I have devoted and dedicated and committed my life for the last 2026, 8 years to this deep, profound, difficult work. And I've seen the ripple effects of what that has had in my family. And I don't know if any of them listen to this. If you do, I love you guys so much. And at this point, I doubt any of them do. And I know how much I have impacted their lives based on the work that I do myself. And so it's less about needing to change anyone in my life to affect my past and future. And a lot of people ask me this question, like ancestry work. There's another question on the forum about ancestry work. Like, if you want to work on healing the wounds of your ancestors, look at what's alive in you now. That's it. Ram Dass talks about this. He's like, if you want to stop war in the world, if you want world peace, stop the war within yourself. Like, if you can come to a radical place of presence within yourself where you're not at war with your mind, your body, your soul, the words you speak, how you show up, what you do in the world, if you eliminate all of the war inside, if all of us eliminate all of the war happening within our own psyches and hearts, there will be zero war in the world, because everything is a reflection. As within, so without. As above, so below. A Hermetic principle of correspondence. I think we'll do a series after the 40 days. I'm going to teach Hermeticism on here. Side note. But that's what healing the past, present, future is. This is why time is nonlinear. If we get stuck in the future and so fearful of what's to come, we're not looking at what's alive now. If we get stuck in the past, and I blame my ancestors, and I blame my parents for what they did, and I blame that memory I had in 5th grade, and when my teacher said this, then I'm also not living in what's most alive now. I'm not looking at what's alive now. And this brings everything back to the ever-present moment that we are so guided. Every single one of you that has made it 18 minutes and 7 seconds into this podcast, you are being instructed to do a specific thing in this moment. Launch that thing, create this, have that hard conversation, acknowledge the truth, get rid of that habit, stop that pattern, lay down that addiction. Whatever you are meant to do to create this nonlinear existence where everything is allowed to be exactly as it is right now in this moment, just listen for the whisper. And if we follow the whisper, if we follow the ping, if we trust in it so wholly, knowing that it's God speaking through its divine existence, still trying to eliminate that programming, its divine existence speaking through us in all moments for all of time, if we learn to trust the whisper and do what's alive now in the moment, everything of your past will be healed. And you will never have to worry about anything that happens in your future. Think about that for a second. I'm going to give us 10 seconds right now to let that land. I'm going to say it one more time. If I learn to trust the pings and the whispers that God is delivering me now in this moment, I'm being instructed on what I'm supposed to do next. What I'm supposed to eliminate, what I'm supposed to open up space for, what I'm supposed to create, the truth I'm supposed to acknowledge, the hard conversation I'm supposed to have. If I acknowledge the truth of the whisper of the moment, I will never have to worry about the past and future. I'm being guided towards the absolute healing that is available to me in all generations, 7 generations back, and all generations, 7 generations forward. I'm here to meet and acknowledge the work that is mine. Hope that answered your question, Vivian. I'm loving this. I'm feeling me get more comfortable, more confident inside of this. I'm going to figure out the openings, and we're going to bring on a team and all these beautiful things to spread this message. I love this platform. I love these long forms. I love the reflections I'm receiving. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody who continues to show up and support. It means the world to me that I get to do this, that this is my service to the world. And I love y'all so much. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 10.